this line over this line is threshold value separating liquefaction occurrence of the liquefaction and non-liquefaction. So that most of the flow, this is based on the 22 data points existing boring log. We quickly assess the severity of the intensity, shaking intensity, as well as liquefaction resistance. We plotted here. So in most of these cases, the most of the data points indicate that in this case, the most of the site is on or below the threshold line. It indicates that the shaking intensity of this aspect is not strong enough to completely liquefy the soil. So this shows the typical acceleration record time history recorded at the county at this aspect. So the maximum acceleration is 182, and you can see that the main shaking, the significant number of the significant shaking is only 1 or 2 cycles. So it indicates that the power of the to make for
only in some particular areas damage is considered, not whole area. So the wave reflection, when you have a valley, then there's a wave reflection. That can be one reason of this localized damage in this program. So we have many challenges. We have to provide resiliency to the structures, either ductility or flexibility. We have to design and construct structures considering the ground motion amplification, very important. And we have to see the effect of soil strata. What is the soil strata? In the Kathmandu Valley, that's very important part of our challenges ahead. And we have to rethink the foundation design, which is, I think most of our foundations are not well designed and well constructed. And we have to, at the same time, we have to find some economic countermeasures against seismic retrofitting and construction. Thank you for the warning and coming to close. Towards restoration and reconstruction, we have to have proper disaster mitigation and prevention plan. Mitigation and prevention are two different words. We have to confuse. And we have to, sorry about spelling mistake. So we have to have innovative design concept. It should be innovative. And some cost-effective techniques and new policy of both hard and soft design. So actually, we have both types of design, measures, whether it is innovation in technology, hard type, or innovation in planning. That's what is required in Nepal right now. I think that should be the future direction of government policy. And in ideal technology, you need 3 factors actually. I don't have to lecture here, everyone knows. The cost reduction, and disaster mitigation, and environmental protection. These 3 you have to remember in your future planning and disaster risk management. Thank you very much. Sorry for extra time.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Professor Okamura from Ehime University to tell us what he has seen in and around Mandu Valley.
Thank you very much for the introduction, So, following the Professor Mazarika, our geotechnical team, including myself, Naya Marashini, and Umesh Kesi, conducted extensive survey for the soil liquefaction in Kathmandu Valley. So this shows the existing liquefaction facility map prepared by JICA report 2004. It shows that along with the several major along with the several major rivers running through this Kathmandu Valley, the highly susceptibility of the soil liquefaction is predicted. This indicates that the red color indicates highly susceptible to liquefaction, and pink color is moderate liquefaction susceptibility. But this liquefaction assessment is based on the maximum ground acceleration of 0.3. This is the scenario earthquake and the expected earthquake strength of the Kathmandu Valley. So we conducted extensively survey mostly along this river as well as the part of the Kathmandu Valley. The one typical site we observed the soil liquefaction is the southern part. It's not very clear, but this is the ring road, and this outside a little far from the south from the ring road. So the extensive, maybe more than 150 meters fissures, as well as some boring we measure, and the liquefaction of ejected soil with the ejected soil. We found that it was fine to silty sand, clear green sand with no plasticity. Well, in conclusion, it is the So in conclusion, this is only the location we found such extensive liquefaction occurred. Means that liquefaction is very limited in this time. So we think about why this the situation. I mean, the extensive liquefaction didn't occur in this aspect. So it shows that this shows the relationship between the cyclic shear stress ratio, indicating that the severity of the shaking, okay, and the horizontal axis is corrected N value, means the resistance, soil resistance to
this added we have. Reasons, it can be both structural and geotechnical. I am from geotechnical discipline, so I cannot talk much about structural. I think structural part Professor Moy from the University. Anyway, damage seems to be localized. We have only local damage, not concentrated in certain areas, which the possible reason is that amplification of the ground due to soft soils. That will be one reason for that. And so we need to look at not just the magnitude of the earthquake in Richter scale, or not just the acceleration, that is just some parameters which doesn't really give you the true picture of an earthquake. In an earthquake, you have to look from different perspectives. One is that you have to look at the energy released by the earthquake, where you have to look at the velocity, because energy is related to velocity. So we need to look at the energy generated, then only can come to some definite conclusion of the damage of the research. Also, people are telling that it's a plate tectonic mechanism of the earthquake, but there is a possibility that there could be fault-induced mechanism involved in the earthquake. So we have, I'm not seismologist, but this is my observation. And possibility of wave reflection in a valley. Actually, I just went last week for a detailed study in Nagano
to present what they have seen in Kathmandu Valley.
what you call the tragic devastation by the earthquake in Homeland really has stirred for this concern, and my heartfelt condolences go to those families who lost their near and dear ones and their properties. Okay, I think my topic is on geotechnical disaster in urban areas, and I'll be also suggesting a few future disaster mitigation strategies from the lessons that we learned from this earthquake. Okay. About the geotechnical disaster, already Dr. Gabriel, he briefly mentioned about the highways, so I'll be just going into a little bit detail on that topic. Okay. Our team consisted of four members, including me, Professor Mitsuo Okamura of Ehime University, Mr. Narayan from Ehime University, and Mr. Umesh from Ehime University, Goutar from Nepal, and currently studying at Ehime University. Also, I am representing the Asian Technical Committee of International Society of Soil Mechanics and Geotechnical Engineering. I am the secretary of that society right now, of that technical committee. Professor Kazama is the chairman, so I am also in this mission and part of that committee member. We went to, yesterday actually, we went to this Araniko highway, so I'll be talking to you some damage to the road and the retaining wall, and we observed some fissures surrounding that and damage to the surrounding walls. This is the road. Actually, this is on the Kathmandu side. Okay. This side is Kathmandu, this side is Goutar. Okay. So you can see the damage there. So this is the view of the roads. You can see some settlement or sinking of the road. Okay. And this side, you can see some slope failure. Both sides of the road, there are some slope failure. I'll show you here. This is the October side. As you can see, again, the road is sinking in the middle, and there's a failure here. This is the sinking part. This is the original road. And this is the Kathmandu side. You can see that there is a slope failure. This whole slope is part. Similarly, on the Bhaktapur side also, the slope failure. Because of these two failures of the slope, there's a huge damage to the road. Okay. Also, on the side road of that highway is right here, and you can see some retaining wall here. There are two retaining walls, the gravity type retaining wall, and this is the reinforced soil. Reinforcing means there must be some soft soil originally in that area. Okay? Deposited soil or compacted soil. So that soil might have undergone settlement. That's why the road is set. That's what our observation. And we also saw some damage to the retaining wall. As you can see, this joint between the gravity type retaining wall and the reinforced retaining wall, there's a huge crack here. So that means that there's a huge movement of the soil beneath of the impact road. As you can see, some cracks developed here. This is the retaining wall, and it's a side road. You can see some cracks. This is the extended view of the cracks. You can see it's a huge cracks. There are many cracks along the side roads like that. Also, just beside this road, this area, somewhere here actually, there's many buildings, residential buildings, including some apartment buildings. And these apartment buildings, these two, were very heavily damaged by this earthquake because of that cracks or the movement of the soils. And this building, in fact, the owner was there when I investigated, and he showed us
buildings around, and he told me that it's about 11 feet settlement of the building towards this side. As you can see, this building has tilted towards this side, towards the road. Here is the road. So there's a huge damage to the building as well because of the damage associated with many fissures, which we observed here. So you can see the tilted buildings here and the cracks. This shows that the building has definitely tilted towards the roadside. And there are some observation of the local fissures. As you can see, these are 3 locations from the main highway. We just walked around about 200 meters, and we found in many locations there are a few fissures.
That has a length of 400 meters and a height of about 120 meters. But the interesting part is that somehow it's divided in 3 parts, A, B, and C. In the area A, we found most of the soil slide. Part B, we found rock slide. And part C is basically rock fall. Here, this is, for example, this big rock here, the evidence is white like this, right on the back you can see the soil, and this is a part C for rock falls. But what I've done, the main way I will focus mainly on these 2 points. This is the embankment field that you already see before. What we found in addition to the previous speaker is that there are signs of cracks all around this area and subsidence of 1.2 meters. So we believe that somehow this area sinks, and why sinking also produce a secondary effect on the embankment, such as the local failure of this road here. And we think that the reason for this failure is because this is the bus stop area, while this side is the main road. So we believe that this area is, the compaction is very poor. So might be, that's why the reason for the local failure. About liquefaction. We found some liquefaction in this area. Liquefaction did not produce any damage during this earthquake. But we have to think that we are during the dry season, so the level of water is quite deep. But if this earthquake happened during the rainy season, the extent of liquefaction could be much severe, much more severe, and probably the damage to building induced by liquefaction also much more predominant. What we have done in the second day, we divided our group in 2 teams, teams A and B, and one team visited the Melachi area and another team Trisoli area. So on the while reaching the target point, we found typical geotechnical damage. For example, shallow landslide in very steep slopes, rock falls, and we found this bus clearly affected by rock falls. But also we found a lot of cracks on the roads, and these cracks are due to the failure of lateral walls. So again, during the rainy season, water can filter here, so we probably this wall again will fail. So similar as in the previous speaker. What we really were surprised is to see that this heft dam here built to deviate the Trisoli River to become a reservoir for Trisoli hydropower plant was damaged by earthquake. Along with this, so this is the reservoir. Here now is dry because they have to close for maintenance. So this side we find a lot of cracks, and this side the liquefaction. So this is typical embankment. Local people said that was constructed around the 60s, and by excavating soil in this area and putting here and compacting. So basically rarely soils. So in this side, the upstream, we found a lot of cracks, and these cracks goes all around the area of the dam. So very long, all along this area. We also found several cracks on the crest, on the embankment, which now there's a road. But we were surprised, and fortunately, did not see any damage in this area here. You can see all the poles are straight, there's no sign of any damage. And the town is just in this side here. what we were surprised to see is the liquefaction. Liquefaction didn't
examine later and then it will release to UNESCO. This is another World Heritage Site, Changgu Naya, and some part of the area was subsided. It was due to the landslide. And here's maybe the time is limited. I'd like to finish here. And some landslide investigation should be some continued, and also restoration and also monitoring of the summer's ground of the World Heritage should be conducted as well. Thank you very much for your concern.
Thank you very much, Professor Fukuoka. We're very much on time. Thanks very much. Next, I would like to request Dr. Gabriel from Tokyo University, who have gone around all the way from Kathmandu to Gorkha, close to the epicenter, and we have seen lots of disaster hit areas, and I would like him to present what they have seen so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Gabriel Chiaro from the University of Tokyo, and today I'm talking about, on behalf of the Kyoto Survey team, which was supported by the Japanese Society of Civil Engineers and Japanese Geotechnical Society. I will show our preliminary reports and focusing mostly on the geotechnical aspect around in the Kathmandu city, but most
This kind of the cracks on the trekking route. This is some artificial field, artificial structure, and supported by these gabions. And in the monsoon season, of course, the rainwater will penetrate.
Killed nearly 20,000 people. In Nepal, we recently actually constructed building structure have killed nearly 8,000 people this time. There are different issues, but most important thing, we should focus in reconstruction. I hope Nepal government put this issue in top priority and deal with building the destroyed structure much better. This international agency will also extend their helping hand to Nepal government and help of Nepal's build Kathmandu and the disaster hit area within a few years. In the end, I would like to request to the Nepal government through Mr. Madam Kumar Nepal, Mr. Gangar Prata, and all CA members, and to build the disaster hit area better. We must concentrate on number one, speedily reconstruction cultural heritage site. Number two, reconstructing the destroyed structure within a few years. Number three, educating the children and the public about all kinds of disaster. Number four, enacting a more deeper, effective and efficient disaster management. Act soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Ababe. And after this, I'd now like to request Professor Fukuoka to let us know what they have seen out of Kathmandu in landslide and smoke failure area. Please. Oh, we'll do the mic.
Thank you very much. My name is Fukuoka from New York University, and fundamentally I'm discussing by the Japanese Geotechnical Society, as well as I'm also the leader of the International Consortium of Landslide Reconnaissance Team. And because, International Consortium of Landslide includes now about 60 institutes from about 30 countries. And in this Nepal, we have Tribhuvan University here and Ishimoto as well. So this time we organized some reconnaissance team for landslides, and now today I'd like to show the preliminary report about this. And this is a targeted area and a groups of investigation. And you can see the orange circles, orange dots. Those shows the aftershock distribution. And so this area means some earthquake or rupture of rocky. And you see that this large orange dot shows the major, and this second largest orange dot shows the largest aftershock of the next day of the nation. And this I'm not sure you can see this. This red line means our investigation route. And Kathmandu is here. And first we try to go to east for 40 kilometers because Mori this time found much information about landslide in this area. It's about 40 kilometers east of Kathmandu. On Facebook, so we decided to go first here. And next we try to get closer to the epicenter area of the nation to find many more landslides. And this time we could not get a higher mountain because of the still under the surge of the missing people, as well as the topic is very much restricted. So we did not go there. And those red marked points shows the some of the landslide we found, as well as the large-scale landslides reported by Ishimoto by the examination of the satellite imagery. And first, I'd like to show the imagery. This is some landslide distribution. This red dot shows the distribution of the landslide found by Ishimoto. These are not only the landslide induced by this time, but also the previous one before quake induced was also included. But according to Ishimoto, private communication, they told me that about more than 200 new landslide induced by this earthquake was confirmed. And this is maybe many of you see on the website that Lantern, ice avalanche and landslide, or there is avalanche, was this time our largest one reported. Many people killed, as well as the landslide dam was created. Landslide dam, often called as natural dam, is blocking the river and impounding much water. And anyhow, it will water will overtop in the future, and after there is some probability or possibility that the dam breach. In such a case, a large-scale flood will be expected. But in this case, length of the damming is about 1.2 kilometers. In this, you can see this figure. This is also reported on the website of Ishimoto. You can see that this part is some landslide damming area. From here to here is about 1.2 kilometers. And next largest, one of the largest landslide is this one. This is before quake, this is after the quake. This white part is a landslide, and this blue part is impounding, right? Landslide reservoir, landslide dam reservoir. This is also some threatening the instability of this landslide dam, and it reach, and it will cause a very large scale flood to the downstream community as well. This is also downstream of the previous one, and they found that this is before quake, this is after quake. Even before they found that this landslide, and this time this white line appeared. And Ishimoto interpreted that this is new, but to me, this is some activation of the single landslide, large-scale landslide block. This is a Google Earth imagery before quake, and this white line apparently shows that this is a head curve top of the landslide, and this is a left side boundary. And this time, this right side boundary appears as a white line. So it means that this whole mass is now activated. So my big concern is that this whole mass will fail.
I would like to request Mr. Dongalan Tulader, CA member as well as past ex-minister for education, to chair this session. We do not have very all those Nepalese style formalities today, but we do have guests and guests from abroad as well as chief guest. And I would like to request Mr. Nanda Kumar Nepal, ex-Prime Minister of Nepal, to be the chief guest of this program. I request Professor B.V.T. Yamada of Ehime University as the representative of the Japanese shorter team to come on the desk. And today, from the shorter team, we have 4 presenters. Presenters, I'm sorry. Presenters. So first of all, I would like to request Professor Hiroshi Fukuoka from Niigata University, who represents Japanese Geotechnical Society as well as International Consortium on Landslides, and he is going to present us about the landslide situation during this outbreak. And I would like to request Professor Hemant Hazarika to come on the dais with all your presentation stuff, with the computers. And I'd like to request Dr. Gabriel from the University of Tokyo to come on the dais. And similarly, I request Professor Okamura to come on the dais. And finally, I request Professor Mori to come on the dais. If you can be there, no problem. Okay. Would you like to come here? What is it? You can be there, no problem. Prepare yourself. And to begin with this, I would first like to request Professor Atabe to deliver a message from the Japanese team.
Program Chair Mr. Mr. Madam Marunepa, CA members, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express my deep condolences to those who have lost their dear ones. This aspect was very much expected, but we did not expect that it was going to come so high. This is very fortunate that the level of damage is not as much as we expect. However, the damage is not less, and it may take many years to reconstruct. We in Japan do have devastating earthquake, and we have been suffering from earthquake disaster for a long time. Recently, in 2011, we had a great earthquake.
Japan was not an acceleration. Many brick structures were damaged. Many houses were damaged, many computer killed. It's called Fukui earthquake. If you go to the internet, you can find it. And Japanese government banned the use of bricks in housing that time. That is the one very good policy Japanese government adopted. And you cannot find any brick structures in Japan after the Fukui earthquake. Maybe that is one step I think the Nepal government can adopt to prevent further disasters in Europe. Okay, this is my personal comment.
उहाँले एउटा कुरा इम्पोर्टेन्ट कुरा के भन्नुभयो भने जापानमा थुप्रै अर्थक्वेक भन्ने 1920मा थुप्रै अर्थक्वेक भन्ने थियो। त्यसको बेलामा चाहिँ त्यस बेलादेखि जुन किसिमको डिजास्टर भयो त्यस बेलादेखि उनीहरूले चाहिँ यो इटाको प्रयोग चाहिँ नगर्ने भन्ने गभर्नमेन्टले डिसिजन गर्यो। इटाले चाहिँ मान्छेमा हाल्छ भनेर जापानमा काठको घर बढी बनाउँछ, इटा प्रयोग नगर्ने भनेर त्यसमा डिसिजन गरेपछि उनीहरूले इटा ब्यान गरिसक्यो। अहिले युज गर्दै गर्दैन, बाटो भेटिन्छ, घरमा कहिले पनि युज हुँदैन। त्यही स्टाइलमा नेपालीहरू पनि नेपालमा पनि सायद हामीले इटालाई रिप्लेस गर्ने अथवा ब्लकलाई रिप्लेस गर्ने कुनै किसिमको हल्का मटेरियल अब इन्ट्रोड्युस गर्ने बेला भएको हो कि र त्यहाँ चाहिँ यहाँबाट त्यस्तो किसिमको आवाज उठाइदिनु भने भोलि गभर्मेन्टले डिसिजन गर्न सक्छ कि अहिले पनि जति पनि मान्छे मरेका छन् सायद इटाले चाहिँ धेरै मरेको छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ उहाँले हाइलाइट गर्न चाहन्छु।
Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, we have a small donation from our Geotechnical Engineering Group in Kyushu University, Department of Civil Engineering. In our group, we have many foreign students, many Japanese students. We have about 30 students and about 4 faculty members. And we collected some donations from our laboratory students and staff. And also, some Afghanistan students actually in our department, they also donated to me directly. The Afghan students got together, and it's mainly from our department Geotechnical Engineering Research Group and some few Afghan students. Yeah, just read out the text and I'll just donate the amount. Okay, the text goes like that. To the people of Nepal, on behalf of the Geotechnical Engineering Research Group, Department of Civil Engineering, Kyushu University, we would like to express our sincere condolences to the victims of the devastating earthquake in Nepal. Our hearts go to you in this difficult time. Words cannot even begin to express our sorrow. Please accept these donations collected from our staff and students of our research group. We wish a speedy recovery and peace to the people of Nepal. With best regards, Professor Noriyuki Yasufuku, who is the head of our Geotechnical Research Group, and myself, Professor Hemanta Hazarika, and all our staff and students of our laboratory. Thank you very much. The amount is around
not that big. It's a very small amount, but hopefully we'll have some. It's 35,000 Japanese yen.
Thank you very much, Professor Hazarika. अब उहाँलाई मैले त्यो कन्ट्रिब्युट छ त्यसले केही समयदेखि सहकार्य गर्यो त्यो सहकार्य गरिसकेपछि हामी एउटा निष्कर्षमा पुग्यौं साइन्स एन्ड टेक्नोलोजी बेस्ड डिसिजन मेकिङ अन DRR डिजास्टर रिस्क रिडक्सन त्यो सन्दर्भमा हामीले अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ भनेर सोच बनायौं हामीले बनाउँदै नसोचेको दिनमा महाभूकम्प आयो यसले यस्तो प्रकारको विपत्ति ल्यायो अब हामी यसो गरेको भए हुन्थ्यो भनेर अब कसैले पनि हामीले दोष दिएर पन्छन सक्दैनौं हुन त पूर्व तयारीका लागि विगत 20 महिनादेखि हामीले लगातार संसदमा कुराहरू उठायौं समितिमा कुराहरू उठायौं राज्यलाई हामीले भन्यौं नेतालाई हामीले भन्यौं प्रधानमन्त्री र उपप्रधानमन्त्रीदेखि लिएर सबैका हामीले ध्यान आकर्षण गर्यौं तर दुर्भाग्यवश त्यो हाम्रा भनाइहरू नीति निर्माणको तहमा कहिले पनि प्राथमिकतामा पर्न सकेनन् र आज यो हामीले जुन दुर्गति बिहोरेका छौं र अब आइन्दा हामीभन्दा पछिका हाम्रा पुस्ताहरूले यो कुराहरू कहिले पनि बिहोर नपरोस् डिजास्टरलाई हामी रोक्न सक्दैनौं विपदलाई हामी रोक्न सक्दैनौं तर त्यसको न्यूनीकरण गर्न सक्छौं र त्यसमा मानवीय क्षति आर्थिक क्षति र भौतिक पूर्वाधारको क्षतिहरूलाई हामी कम गर्न सक्छौं यो कुरामा प्रतिबद्धताका साथ अब अगाडि बढ्नुको विकल्प छैन हामी कसैलाई ब्लेमिङ गर्ने पक्षमा छैनौं र त्यो ब्लेमिङको लागि पनि यो कार्यक्रम आयोजना गरेको होइन यो विज्ञान र प्रविधिमा आधारित प्रमाणहरूका आधारमा हाम्रा दिमागहरू अब बन्नु पर्दछ र अब नीति निर्माण हुँदाखेरि हामीले त्यसमा एडभोकेसी गर्नुपर्छ लबिङ गर्नुपर्दछ र हाम्रा आर्गुमेन्टहरू राख्नुपर्दछ यही हिसाबले चाहिँ आज यो कार्यक्रमको आयोजना गरियो यहाँहरू आउनुभएको छ सबैले बडो चाखपूर्ण ढंगले यसको यो कार्यक्रममा भाग लिनुभएको छ महत्त्व दिनुभएको छ यहाँहरू सबैलाई म धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु र एकछिन पछाडि हामी संसदमा प्रस्तुत हुँदैछौँ हामीले त्यहाँ बोल्न पाउँछौँ संकल्प प्रस्ताव माथिको हामीले छलफलमा हामीले भाग लिन पाउँदछौँ यहाँ मान्य लक्ष्मण राजवंशीको कुरा होस् अथवा अरू मान्यजीहरूले उठाउनु भएका कुराहरू हुन् यी सबै कुराहरूभित्र अन्तर्निहित एउटा कुरा के हो भने यस्ता ठुलो विपत्ति आउँदाखेरि हामीले कसरी सामना गर्ने यसबाट मानवीय क्षतिलाई कसरी कम गर्ने यसबाट भौतिक क्षतिहरू कसरी कम गर्ने यो भैँचालो आउँछ भन्ने हामीलाई थाहा थियो हामीले विगत 5 वर्षदेखि लगातार भन्दै आएका थियौं करिब 5-10 वर्षको बीचमा ठुलो भैँचालो आउन सक्दछ हरेक 100 वर्षको अन्तरालमा ठुलठुला भैँचालो आएको इतिहास छ मल्ल राजाहरू अभय मल्ल अथवा अरिमल्ल होस् उनीहरू चाहिँ भैँचालोको क्रममा मरेका छन् भनेर हामीले ती कुराहरू भन्दै आयौं धेरै संस्थाहरूले भन्दै आयो अहिले एमसेटको तर्फबाट डाक्टर गुरागाईले भन्नुभयो भूगर्भविदहरूले भन्दै आएका छन् कसैका कुराहरू पनि सुनवाई भएन तर आज यो खालको कुराहरू भयो हामीले भन्दै आउँदाखेरि म पनि यसमा सहमति राख्ने
समिति बनाएर यसलाई पुनर्निर्माणलाई अगाडि बढाउनु पर्छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ सरकार आफैले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अलिकति गाह्रो हुन सक्छ जस्तो लाग्छ
मान्यज्यूहरूलाई चाहिँ
सबभन्दा पहिले त यस्तो कार्यक्रम आयोजना गरेर हामी सबैलाई यहाँ जानकारी दिने काम गरेकोमा आयोजक मित्रहरूलाई धेरै धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु त्यसपछि जुन विधहरू हुनुहुन्छ विधहरूले जुन देखाउनु भयो यसले हामीलाई चाहिँ धेरै आँखा खोले जस्तो गराएको छ तर एउटा मेरो के भनाइ छ भने समय कम भएर पनि होला यसलाई चाहिँ नेपालीमा पनि उल्था गर्ने व्यवस्था गरेको भएदेखि हामी यो धेरै उपलब्धिमूलक हुन्थ्यो र हामीलाई पनि अरूलाई गएर यही कुरो बताउनको लागि मद्दत पुग्थ्यो भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ र मेरो प्रश्न के भन्दाखेरि विपत्ति त भयो है के भन्दाखेरि अब हाम्रो त बर्खा मुखमा आइराखेको छ मान्छेलाई पालले मात्रै त ओद्दैन चाउचाउ र चिउराले मात्रै त पुग्दैन हामीले तत्काल बर्खाभरिको लागि के गर्ने र दीर्घकालीन के गर्ने अहिले तत्कालै त्यो दीर्घकालीन योजनाले त मिल्दैन है यो बर्खाभरिको लागि कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ र दीर्घकालीन योजनामा त अब सबैको होला कसरी गर्न सकिन्छ अनि जापानमा कसरी गर्नु हो अरू मुलुकमा कसरी गर्नु हो यस विषयमा अलि स्पष्ट पार्नुहुन्थ्यो।
धन्यवाद।
मेरो नाम शान्ता मानवी, म
हजुर, सर्वप्रथम म चाहिँ यो अर्गनाइजर को तर्फबाट माफी चाहन्छु। हामीले एकदम छोटो समयमा यहाँलाई यहाँसम्म ल्याएर दुई चारवटा कुरा गर्ने मौका पाएका छौँ। त्यसमा चाहिँ हामी चाहिँ खुसी छौँ, तर हामीले यहाँलाई बुझाउन सकिरहेको छौँ धेरै कुराहरू। त्यसमा हामी पनि प्रायश्चित हजुर, उहाँले चाहिँ पछि आफ्नो तरिकाले उहाँले केही किसिमको एक्सप्लेन गर्नुहुन्छ हाम्रो अहिलेको अध्यक्षज्यूले, र हामीले त्यो कुनै बेला गरौँ, अहिले टाइम नगरे हो। र अर्को कुरा म यहाँको क्वेसन अहिले फेरि अर्को एकजना एक्सपर्टसँग राख्छु। She said she's asking because people are in trouble, and what we can do is we have to protect the people from the rainy period that is coming just ahead for about 2-3 months. So what would you suggest us for this short-term disaster, yet another disaster prevention? I think no. Professor Mori would like to answer this, or Professor Fukuoka?
With regard to the landslide,
okay, Professor Fukuoka.
Thank you very much for your question. And we have a very big concern about the upcoming rainy season, monsoon season, because now this earthquake took place in the end of the dry season. So we could imagine, we could expect that some groundwater was very small in amount. So that's going to be the one reason why some very limited number of the large-scale landslides took place. But now, as I showed, we could see many cracks, especially on the artificial hill. But on the natural slope, we could expect many cracks have taken place. Also, we cannot see not easily. We had very similar situation in Kobe Quake in 1995. The Kobe Quake took place in the dry season, and also at that time a very limited number of landslides took place. But in the rainy season, we witnessed so many landslides activated or reactivated. So my suggestion and recommendation is that especially about some very important facility, hospitals or very important some buildings located in the very vicinity of a steep slope or a gentle slope even. And we should go around and find any cracks. And if you find any cracks and it's apparently opening, you should start monitoring. How the monitoring in very cheap cost is also suggested to some engineers this time or next time. And also to prevent some enlargement or some reactivation of this kind of the cracks opening and evolving into landslide, we usually in Japan place a vinyl sheet to cover those cracks. This is most popular way to prevent or reduce the risk of the landslide.
Can I add 1 minute? Fundamentally, it is very important to measure rainfall volume. And the second one is based on measurement of the rainfall, you should take evacuation after the threshold value. Some kind of a reference should be developed, of course. Thank you.
अलिकति म बस एकदम छोटो रूपमा भन्छु उहाँको क्वेसनलाई। सबभन्दा पहिला त हामीलाई बाहिर बसिरहेको जति पनि हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूलाई पालमा राखिरहेको त्यो त त्यति ठुलो समस्याको रूपमा छैन पानी परे पनि। तर त्योभन्दा ठुलो समस्या चाहिँ जुन पहाडी एरियामा पहाडी क्षेत्रमा चाहिँ अहिले भूकम्पमा हामीले पहिरो लडेको त देखाएको छैनौँ, तर पानी परेपछि चाहिँ सबै घरल्यान घुर्लुम जाने स्थिति आउँछ। जुन चाइनामा हामीले आजभन्दा 7 वर्षदेखि अगाडि देखाएको थियौँ, त्यहाँ चाहिँ कस्तो अर्थक्वेकले भूकम्पले चाहिँ पहाड हल्लाइदियो तर पानी परेपछि सबै झऱ्यो, त्यता बेला झऱ्यो। त्यस्तो किसिमको समस्याको लागि हामीले बचाउनलाई चाहिँ के अरे पानी मेजर कति पानी पऱ्यो भनेर बुझ्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। त्यसको लागि पानी पर्नुभन्दा पहिला पानी परेपछि हामी चाहिँ त्योबाट सुरक्षित ठाउँमा भाग्नुपर्ने सबभन्दा इम्पोर्टेन्ट महत्त्वपूर्ण छ जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ भनेर चाहिँ हाम्रो प्रोफेसर गोरी एन्ड प्रोफेसर गोगाले। र म अब यहाँबाट माफ माग्छु, त्यसपछि पनि हामी प्रोग्राम कन्टिन्यू गर्छौँ। अलिकति यहाँ आज हाम्रो जापानिज टिमको 5-7 जना मेम्बरहरू फर्किँदै हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँलाई पुर्याउनु पर्ने चाहिँ प्रोग्रामलाई अलिकति सर्ट गराएर त्यसपछि हामी खानपिनको व्यवस्था त्यस बेला डिस्कसन गर्न सक्छौँ। यहाँलाई अलिकति टाइम मिलेर छोड्नु पर्ने हुन्छ। यस पश्चात डिस्कसन सेसनलाई यहीँनिर राखेर पछि कन्टिन्यू गर्ने गरेर यस प्रोग्रामका प्रमुख अतिथि श्री माधव कुमार नेपालज्यूलाई आफ्ना 2-4 शब्द यो प्रोग्राम हेरेर यो जुन कार्यक्रमको प्रेजेन्टेसनहरू हेरेर के कस्तो विचारहरू आउँछन् भन्ने कुरामा प्रकाश पार्दिन म अनुरोध गर्छु।
Honorable Chair, Shanda Lal Brother, Professor Yatabe from the AMA University, and all the distinguished guests from Japan, and Honorable Members of Parliament, Members of the Assembly, and distinguished guests. More Nepalima or I would like to speak in Nepali as well as some Muslims can speak. First of all, I would like to thank the experts, dignified team from Japan, from the AMA University, from different university, Kyushu University, Niigata University, Kyoto University, all the prestigious, well-known universities who have been doing the research work, especially in earthquake. Japan as well as Nepal is also disaster-prone countries. And Japan is known as a country who has to face all the times earthquakes. Nepal is also well known as a country who has to face all the time any type of natural disasters, whether it is rainfall, floods, landslides, earthquakes, and other accumulating such disaster. So Nepal should also have an expert team with itself who can all the time do their research work and give their suggestions for the prevention of as well as mitigation of any sorts of that damage the country has to face. We have भन्दै थिए कि नेपाल पनि जापान जस्तै डिजास्टर प्रोन देशको रूपमा रहेको छ। नेपालमा पनि प्रत्येक वर्ष कुनै किसिमको डिजास्टर भइरहेको हुन्छ, चाहे त्यो पानी वर्षासँग जोडिएको होस्, फ्लडसँग जोडिएको होस्, चाहे त्यो भुइँचालोसँग जोडिएको होस्, चाहे महामारीसँग जोडिएको होस्, जाडा पखाला रोग व्याधि आदि इत्यादि। यस्तो अवस्थामा नेपालसँग पनि पर्याप्त मात्रामा विशेषज्ञहरूको टिम अर्थक्वेकसँग जोडिएको र वातावरणसँग जोडिएको। तर केही वर्ष पहिले जब 2009 खास गरिकन पर्यावरणको बारेमा वातावरणको प्रतिकूल असर विश्वव्यापी रूपमा परिरहेको सन्दर्भमा अनि नेपालको पनि ध्यान संसारमा हामीले आकर्षित गर्नका लागि नेपालको प्रतिको ध्यान सबैको आकर्षित गर्नका लागि माउन्ट एभरेस्टमा एउटा क्याबिनेट मिटिङको मैले आयोजना गरेको थिएँ, जतिखेर म प्रधानमन्त्री थिएँ। त्यो अर्थ के हो भने नेपाल पनि हामी अहिलेसम्म चर्चा गर्ने गर्दछौँ आइल्यान्ड स्टेट्सहरू पानीबाट डुब्न सक्ने भएर, हामी चर्चा गर्ने गर्दछौँ कोस्टल स्टेट्सहरू जो बाढीबाट डुब्न सक्ने भएर। तर हिमाल पनि पग्लिँदैछ, हिमालमा रहेको ग्लेसियर पनि पग्लिँदैछ। यसले ठुलो क्याटास्ट्रोफी ल्याउन सक्दछ नेपालमा, भारतमा, बङ्गलादेशमा र त्यसको असर श्रीलङ्कामा, अनि त्यसको असर मालदिप्समा र अरू धेरै देशमा पर्न सक्दछ भन्ने ठानेर यसको महत्त्वलाई बाहिर ल्याउन खोज्यो। अहिले ठुलो महामारी आयो यो वर्ष र हामीलाई थाहा छ कि हामीले सोचिरहेका थियौँ कि 100 वर्षपछि आउला। We are expecting such earthquake after 18 years. It means after 100 years of 1934. It means in 1934 there was a major earthquake in Nepal. So we are expecting another earthquake after 100 years, because in 1833 there was another major earthquake in Nepal. But it came early, 18 years before. And I was even told by some of the experts that that level of earthquake may again occur here. So I would like to know from our experts whether that is the reality or not, or all other earthquakes, if there will be of low intensity, of low level, or what. That is one of the question in my mind. As again, yesterday discussion among the political leaders, we just come to a conclusion that that level of earthquake will not occur again in this period. It may come after a few years. What is the reality? I would like to know from our experts. वास्तवमा म विशेष रूपमा धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु उहाँहरूलाई जसले एकदम धेरै गहिरो अध्ययन गर्नुभयो। They have gone to the field, talked with the people, seen by themselves, taken all the pictures, have their observations, and they are trying to get more information and give their suggestions for the prevention of that sort of big damage in Nepal. यसरी उहाँहरूको जुन सहयोग वास्तवमा हामीलाई पनि धेरै जरुरी पनि छ। Nepal and Japan, there is need to have a close cooperation between Nepal and Japan. And so I would like to draw the attention of the Nepalese government and authorities to think on that direction. Actually, every often we see that sort of earthquake in our country. I think in the eastern part of the country, that is Dharan, and that area, earthquake has done big damage. And later on also, we have been seeing that sort of earthquake in other parts of the country. Because of that, Nepal needs to have such an authority who will all the time do the detailed survey, work, detailed investigation on the earthquake related issues. यति भनेर म भन्न चाहन्छु कि वास्तवमा यत्रो सङ्कटको घडीमा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय समुदायले सहयोग हामीले प्राप्त गरेका छौँ। The support, the sympathy we have just received from the international community is commendable, but we need to be ourselves prepared to face all the challenges. Though the cooperation, I think, will all the time will be there, because Nepal enjoys that sort of high respect from and concern from the international community. With these words, I would like to thank you again for showing your so much love, affection, sympathy, and support for Nepal, the people, and especially for the victims who have faced all sorts of damage during this period. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mother Kumar. अब म चाहिँ यो कार्यक्रमको अफिसियल क्लोजिङ गर्नको लागि यस सभाका अध्यक्ष श्री गङ्गालाल तुलाधरज्यूलाई आफ्ना क्लोजिङ रिमार्क्स राखिदिन अनुरोध गर्छु।
डाक्टर साहब यहाँ जो मान्यजीहरू दुईजना हुनुहुन्छ त्यसलाई भेरी सर्टली क्वेसन राखिदिनु
हजुर सर धन्यवाद म दिलबर नेपाली सभासद काशीबाट मैले 4वटा मात्रै प्रश्न राख्न चाहन्छु यो टेक्निकल टिमले छोटो समयमा अध्ययन गरेर ल्याएको प्रतिवेदनमाथि मेरो अहिले टिप्पणी छैन किनभने एकदम छिटो पनि आयो सबभन्दा पहिला त यो बागपातबाट जुन सेन्टर सुरु भएको छ त्यहाँबाट पूर्वतर्फ बढी ध्वंस देखियो संरचनागत हिसाबले देखि लिएर क्र्याकहरू सबै देखियो भने पश्चिमतिर त्यसको असर कम परेको देखिन्छ यसको कारण भौगोलिक कारण हो या अरू कुनै कारण हो त्यो चाहिँ प्रश्न हुनु पर्यो सँगसँगै बागपातदेखि पूर्वतिर लागेको वेभ धादिङ नुवाकोट भन्दा उपत्यका भन्दा सिन्धुपाल्चोकमा गएर बढी ड्यामेज देखिने त्यो बाह्रविसे क्षेत्र बढी प्रभावित देखिनुको कारण के हो यदि टाढा आएर नजिकको जिल्लाभन्दा टाढा ड्यामेज हुनुको कारण के हो त्यो पनि प्रश्न हुनु पर्यो र सँगसँगै यो गोर्खादेखि पश्चिम मनाङको विषयमा नेपाली मिडिया पनि साइलेन्ट रह्यो नेपाल सरकार पनि साइलेन्ट रह्यो त्यहाँ भूकम्पबाट क्षति नभएर हो या हिमालपारिको जिल्ला भएर हो त्यहाँको अवस्था अज्ञात छ त्यो अध्ययन टिमले के सुझाउँछ त्यो थाहा पाउनु पर्यो सँगसँगै यो भूकम्प आइसकेको अवस्था पछाडि अब हामी आयोजक अब यो टेक्निकल टिम मात्रै नभई एउटा नेपाल सरकारको हिसाबले हेर्दा अब यो पहाडी बेल्टमा सुरक्षित बसोबासको निमित्त अब सर्वे गर्न जरुरी छ हामी अहिले जे जसरी बसेका छौँ त्यही पुनर्संरचना गरेर त्यही बस्न लगाउने हो या एउटा जियो टेक्निकल सर्वेको आधारमा आएको रिपोर्टको आधारमा अब बस्ती कहाँ केन्द्रित गर्नु पर्ने सुरक्षित बास दिने हो या पुनर्संरचनाका नाममा जहाँ भत्कसै घर बनाइदिनु पर्ने हो त्यो विषयमा कर्मगति नबोल्दै यो सोध्नु मन लागेको थियो तर मैले जिज्ञासा राखेर
आयोजक र प्रस्तुता विदेशी मित्रहरूलाई हार्दिक धन्यवाद दिँदै यो अहिलेको भूकम्पका बारेमा विभिन्नै खाले भ्रमहरू छन् टिबेटियन प्लेट र इन्डियन प्लेटको बिचको अन्तर सम्बन्ध के रहेको र के कारणले नेपालमा यति ठुलो भूकम्प आयो दोस्रो 1990 र अहिलेको भूकम्पका बिचका सम्बन्धहरू केही छन् कि तेस्रो अहिले जसरी क्षति भएको छ भौतिक संरचनामा यसलाई न्यूनीकरण गर्न सकिने सम्भावनाहरू के थियो अथवा के गर्दाखेरि हुन सक्थ्यो र के गर्दाखेरि अलिक कम क्षति हुन्थ्यो चौथो अहिले 1 देखि 1.25 मिटरसम्म उपत्यका उठेको भन्ने व्यापक चर्चामा आएको छ यो हो कि होइन हो भने यसले भोलि गएर सम्भावित दुर्घटनाहरू पनि केही हुन सक्छ कि अन्त्यमा सम्भावित भूक्षयलाई रोक्न सकिने सम्भावनाहरू के छन् धन्यवाद
माने लक्ष्मण राजवंशी
मेरो चाहिँ वाइ के छ भने अहिलेको चाहिँ स्थिति जे जस्तो थियो जसरी गयो यो अहिले रिपोर्टमा हामीले हेऱ्यौँ तर जान्नुपर्ने मैले के लाग्यो भने मेजर यो डिजास्टर यसको चाहिँ कारण के हो मेजर यो इन जनरल त छँदैछ जस्तै यो चाहिँ तपाईँको प्राविधिक कमजोरीले भएको हो कि यस्तो विघ्न ड्यामेज किनभने डिजाइनको सुरुदेखि नै त्यहाँ कमजोरी छ कि सेकेन्डमा चाहिँ आएर चाहिँ जुन डकर्मी अथवा चाहिँ अरू प्रयोग गरेको म्यान पावर छ त्यो चाहिँ तपाईँको चाहिँ क्वालिटी नै छैन उनीहरू त्यो नलेजै एनफ छैन कन्स्ट्रक्सन त्यो कारण हो कि तेस्रोमा आएर निर्माण क्रममा चाहिँ इन्जिनियरहरूको टाइम एन्ड एगेन जुन निरीक्षण हुनुपर्ने थियो त्यसमा कमजोरी भएर हो कि डिजाइनमा त ठिक छ तर कन्स्ट्रक्सनको टाइममा चाहिँ इन्जिनियरिङहरूको सुपरभिजन त्यसको कमजोरीले हो कि त्यसपछि निर्माण सामग्रीको चाहिँ गुणस्तरहीनता जे जस्तो पाए त्यस्तो डन्डी प्रयोग गर्ने सिमेन्ट प्रयोग गर्ने आदि त्यो हो कि त्यसपछि आएर चाहिँ तपाईँको हाम्रो नेपालको भू बनावटै त्यस्तो हो कि र अन्तमा आएर चाहिँ तपाईँको जुन आचार संहिता बनाएको छ निर्माणको त्यो आचार संहिता आफै पनि कमजोरी हो कि यी कुराहरू मेजर के हो
मैले चाहिँ अहिलेको हजुरको क्वेसन
सबभन्दा ठुलो समस्या हजुरले भने सबै हुन्, तर मैले देखा सबैभन्दा ठुलो समस्या चाहिँ गरिबी भए हुनाले हामीले चाहिँ के गरिरहेको छौँ भने इन्जिनियरले डिजाइन गरिदिएको चिज पनि हामीले बनाउन सकेका छैनौँ। सरकारले आफै पनि कानुनलाई इनाक्ट गर्न सकेको छैन, पनि गरिबीकै कारण हो। अनि हामी आफै पनि कम पैसामा घर बनाउन चाहन्छौँ, पनि गरिबीकै कारणले हो। र सहर बजारको विभत्स अवस्था डिजास्टरले पनि होइन, डिजास्टरभन्दा पहिलाले पनि विभत्स हुन्छ नि, त्यो पनि गरिबीकै कारण हो। यो सबै समस्याका बावजुद आइडेन्टिफाई गरेका समस्याहरू छन् नि।
हाउसिङ के हो त नि? हाउसिङ के हो? त्यो त गरिबले बनाए होइन।
गरिबी भने मैले गरिबले पैसा कमाउन खोज्यो भने त्यसो हुन्छ भने हाउसिङका मालिकहरू पनि गरिबी नै हुने उनीहरू पनि। गरिब मेन्टालिटी हो त्यो चाहिँ, गरिब मानसिकता। ठग्ने चोर्ने भन्ने किसिमको जुन शब्दहरू छन् नि, त्यही समस्याले हामी ग्रसित छौँ सबै समस्यालाई। र काठमाडौँमा अहिले 30-40 लाख 40 लाख 50 लाख मान्छे बस्छन्। अबको समस्या चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने काठमाडौँमा हामीले 80 लाख मान्छे बसाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ। 80 लाख मान्छे बसाउन हामीसँग जमिन हुँदैन, माथि जानै पर्छ, माथि अग्लो बनाउनै पर्ने हुन्छ। अग्लो कसरी बनाउने भन्ने समस्या हो। अहिलेसम्मको अग्लो बनाउने मानसिकता चाहिँ गरिबीको समस्या हो। कम पैसामा ठगेर मान्छेलाई चोरेर अरू मर्छ, हामी मर्दैनौँ भन्ने सोचाइले काम गरिरहेको छ। त्यही भएर सबै यो पैसाको गरिबी मात्रै होइन कि मानसिकता पनि गरिब छ हामीसँग। त्यही कारणले चाहिँ सबै कुराहरू बिग्रिरहेको छ। र अब यसलाई के गर्न सकिन्छ भने अहिले त सिक्यौँ नि हामीले। अब कस्तो घर भयो, एउटै ठाउँमा दुईवटा सेम घरहरू, उस्तै घरहरू, एउटा भत्किन्छ अर्को भत्किन्छ, तपाईँले के गर्नु सक्नुहुन्छ? भत्केको घर त कमजोर रहेछ भने बुझ्नु परेन, कमजोर गरेर बनाएको रहेछ भने बुझ्नु पऱ्यो। त्यही भएर अब यो सबै कुराहरू हामीले बदल्नु पर्छ। हामीसँग आचार संहिता छ, आचार संहिता कमजोर छैन। हामीसँग इन्जिनियरहरू छन्, कमजोर छैन, सबैले काम गर्न सक्छ। तर समस्या कहाँ छ? सिस्टम बनाइदिएनौँ हामी। त्यो बेलासँग डिल गर्ने क्यापेसिटी चाहिँ छ, तर लङ टर्ममा हामी जान खोजेनौँ। हामीले 20 वर्ष पछाडि आउने अर्थक्वेकलाई थाहा पाउँदै पनि हामीले त्यसबाट बच्न चाहेनौँ। भयो हुन्छ भन्ने किसिमको भयो। तर अहिले पनि दुर्भाग्यवश अथवा भाग्यवश विनाश कम भएको छ भन्दाखेरि यहाँलाई नराम्रो लाग्ला, तर विनाश हामीले सोचे भन्दा 10-20% सीमित छ। काठमाडौँ त सबै 70 हुने स्थितिमा थियो, तर भएन। यो अब अर्को अर्थक्वेकले पनि त्यसै गर्ला। अब यो समस्यालाई हामी मिलेर बनाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ भन्ने चाहिँ यो जापानिज टिमलाई रिप्रेजेन्ट गरेर मैले भनिरहेको छु। अब यसलाई सरकारसँग सम्बन्धित मान्छेहरू पनि हुनाले भोलि कुनै न कुनै किसिमको देशले एउटा नयाँ डिरेक्सन लिन्छ भन्ने चाहिँ हामी सबैले विश्वास गर्नुपर्छ। र यसमा यहाँहरूको रोल हाम्रो भन्दा धेरै ठुलो छ र यहाँहरूले नै त्यसलाई अगाडि बढाउनुपर्छ। मलाई लाग्छ जापानिज साथीहरूलाई पनि त्यही लाग्छ, यहाँहरूले बनाएपछि सबै कुरा बन्छ। धन्यवाद।
आजका प्रमुख अतिथि सम्माननीय पूर्व प्रधानमन्त्री, अहिलेका सभासद माननीय माधव कुमार नेपालज्यू, मञ्चमा आसीन एहेमी विश्वविद्यालय जापान र जापानका विभिन्न विश्वविद्यालयहरूका आदरणीय प्राज्ञ विद्वान प्रोफेसरहरू, मान्य सभासदज्यूहरू, सञ्चारकर्मी मित्रहरू, विभिन्न प्राज्ञ व्यक्तित्वहरू, विद्यार्थीहरू र उपस्थित अन्य महानुभावहरू, यहाँहरू सबैलाई सबभन्दा पहिले सह आयोजकका हिसाबले म हार्दिक धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। माधव कुमार नेपालज्यू, सम्मानित प्रधानमन्त्रीज्यू, यो क्षेत्रमा अलिक ज्यादा चाख राख्ने व्यक्तित्व भएका कारणले पनि हामीले उहाँसँग अनुरोध गऱ्यौँ र उहाँ आज आइदिनु भएको छ। मान्य सभासद मित्रहरू जसलाई छोटो समयमा हामीले आमन्त्रण गऱ्यौँ र उहाँहरू आइदिनु भएको छ र आजै हामीले यस प्रकारको कार्यक्रमको किन आयोजना गऱ्यौँ म त्यसको बारेमा अलिकति प्रकाश पार्न चाहन्छु। आज दिउँसो 3 बजे व्यवस्थापिका संसदको बैठक बोलाइएको छ। मुलुकमा गएको 12 गते आएको महाभूकम्पले पुर्याएको सम्पूर्ण क्षति, जनधनको क्षति र आगामी दिनमा पुनर्निर्माणको काममा अब राज्य कसरी लाग्नुपर्दछ, राजनीतिक दलका नेताहरूले कसरी यसलाई मुख्य प्राथमिकतामा राख्नुपर्दछ, हामी सभासदहरूले कस्तो प्रकारको भूमिका निर्वाह गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने विषयमा छलफल हुनेछ। सरकारका तर्फबाट संकल्प प्रस्ताव आउनेछ, त्यसमाथि हामी छलफल गर्नेछौँ। हामी एउटा निष्कर्षमा पुग्नेछौँ र यो मुलुकको पुनर्निर्माणमा हामी जुट्नेछौँ। त्यो पुनर्निर्माणमा जुट्ने प्रारम्भमा आज मान्य सभासदज्यूहरूका लागि एमए विश्वविद्यालय र अन्य विश्वविद्यालय जापानका आदरणीय प्राज्ञ विद्वान वर्गहरू प्रोफेसरहरू यहाँ आएर केही दिनदेखि अध्ययन गर्नुभयो र यहाँले देख्नुभएको छ यो नेसनल क्याम्पेन फर डिजास्टर रिस्क रिडक्सन भनेर सभासदहरूको बिचमा विपद जोखिम न्यूनीकरणका सन्दर्भमा हामीले के गर्न सक्छौँ। हामी सभासदहरू जनताबाट निर्वाचित छौँ, जनताका लागि हामीले केही गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ, त्यो भूमिका पनि हामीले निर्वाह गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। हामी विधायक हौँ, हामी विधान प्रक्रियामा सामेल छौँ, जनताका लागि जनपक्षीय कानुनहरू निर्माण गर्ने हाम्रो जिम्मेवारी छ। त्यस्तै गरिकन सरकारले के गरिरहेको छ त्यसको हामी मोनिटरिङ गर्ने, त्यसको अनुगमन गर्ने भूमिका पनि हाम्रो हो। त्यति धेरै जिम्मेवारी बोकेका सभासदहरूले आज संकल्प प्रस्तावमा कसरी प्रस्तुत हुँदा पेश हुन्छ, जनताका तर्फबाट उनीहरूका अभिव्यक्तिहरू कस्तो हुनु जरुरी छ भन्ने सिलसिलामा एमए विश्वविद्यालय जापानसँग केही सभासदहरूको एउटा न्युक्लियस हाम्रो बिचमा बन्यो।
This kind of great audience, but at the same time, I would like to pray for the victim. Anyway, I will start at my time is the aspect of earthquake engineering and the geotechnical and structural geotechnical engineering aspects. My purpose of this investigation is consists of four. The first one is tentative earthquake ground motion. This is to evaluate against to evaluate ground motion during the main shock. The second issue is the damage assessment in buildings and structures. The third one is the microtremor on the ground. This is for understanding the ground motion characteristics in Kathmandu Valley. Of course, for understanding the very typical distribution of the damage to buildings and structures. And the fourth item is ambient vibration measurement of structures, and that is to understand the vibration characteristics of the structures in Kathmandu Valley. Our team, Ehime University team, they have a group assessment for damage assessment to buildings along the north-south crossing line through the Kathmandu Valley and the east-west line. And this one, very unclear, I'm sorry. This is Kathmandu Valley. We have 12 segments of the locations. And we use the European macro seismic scale for damage assessment. We say EMS 98 is basically convertible to FEMA damage assessment. So our results would be expected to be very beneficial to Nepal engineers. This is the special rapid damage assessment sheet in Nepal. In this occasion, I developed this sheet, and our 15 members use this one, and totally almost 800 buildings and houses. Now compiling. First of all, I'm an earthquake engineer. We, earthquake engineering group, visited Department of Mines and Geologies and the chairman of the seismic center provided us the opportunity to look at the recorded acceleration data. This data, actually, in Nepal, in this time, I was a little bit surprised at value. Only the earthquake magnitude, they call the Richter scale. Only the Richter scale is used in communication between communities and engineers, or television, or newspaper. But we feel ground shaking. The magnitude of ground shaking is seismic intensity, we call. Seismic intensity is a function of distance, epicentral distance, and magnitude. So even the magnitude is big, but if you are far from the epicenter, the ground shaking is very small. Okay? So the important thing is the amplitude of ground motion, such as acceleration. In this acceleration time history, we understand the initial 4 seconds is probably you feel initially the beginning of the shaking of the earthquake, but you felt, oh, what is this? 4 seconds later, you may feel a very dangerous, scary. And in such kind of a scary situation, maybe 40 to 50 seconds continues, maybe. This is the basic understanding. This is the damage, a very typical damage to RC frame and the brick wall. This is the example because this is very famous to all of you. I take a very close look at this building. The tilted building is due to the breakage of the column of the first ground floor. So, ground floor column in front of the the front column of the building was collapsed, and the back column is survived. So, consequently, these buildings tilted forward. This is also famous damage to high-rise building, probably Park Horizon in Kathmandu. 70-story building is severely damaged from the look. But when we take a very close look at the members, structural members and non-structural members, probably almost all the breakage, shear cracks, is generated on non-structural elements. So the output is so bad, but structurally judgment is G3 according to my judgment. According to my judgment based on the EMS 98. But this is a safety viewpoint. And surrounding area, there are a lot of 3 to 6 floor buildings, but almost all the buildings are grade 0 or 1. Probably we say no damage or slight damage. Very safe. This is Sangpu, air photograph of Sangpu, the local area. This area reportedly destructed, 90% destructed or heavily damaged. The right-hand side photograph is taken by myself, and this is cited from the Google Earth before the earthquake. The top-heavy temple is destructed, but the low-rise buildings not heavily damaged. And this photograph is very suggestive. I mean, all the area was 80 to 90% disrupted or heavily damaged. But in this area, this is the key buildings. This building is reinforced concrete frame with brick filled buildings. No damage. Adjacent building is damaged moderately, but deformation is restricted by this building at the corner. This is key building. I consider that this building helped all masonry building against collapse. This is also the RC building. The building left-hand side is survived, but right-hand side is collapsed. And this is the story, a street, so no support in the right-hand side. This is an example of a very local and concentrated damaged area in Kathmandu. Sobabagawati. Okay, Sobabagawati is a very famous to all of you, but this damaged area is a kind of a hidden area. Okay, I will summarize. This is the liquefaction associated damage. Settlement was generated, but all the building is structurally safe. And finally, I would like to show you the results of my microtube measurement results conducted 7 years ago. This is the distribution of the predominant period. The central part of the Kathmandu Valley has the 3 to 5 seconds of period of vibration. This is harmonized with the acceleration time record. So, in the next reconstruction and rehabilitation stage, the evaluation of the ground motion characteristics and liquefaction susceptibility and building vibration characteristics evaluation is crucial. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Mori. Thanks to all the 5 presenters. Now we have very little time for questions and answers. I think the young engineers in the back of this hall may write their questions, if any, on a sheet of paper and give us your email address as well, so that we can answer later on, not today. So I request you all to permit me to enter a brief discussion session, especially from the people sitting in the front, CA members and the other professors, stakeholders. Please raise your hand and let me point at you for the question. Any questions, comments? नेपालीमा पनि भन्दा हुन्छ हजुरले हामी चाहिँ ज्याटिभमा इङ्ग्लिसमा भन्नुला के अलिकति बुझ्न गाह्रो भयो होला माननीय सभासदज्यूहरूलाई यही पोलिटेक्निकल भयो जस्तो लाग्यो मलाई पनि तर जति हामीले 3 दिनमा हेर्यौँ त्यो कुराहरूलाई आज प्रेजेन्ट गरेका छौँ अब यहाँलाई चाहिँ अलिकति यो विपदको बारेमा अलि स्ट्रङली अलिक धेरै इफेक्टिभ तरिकाले कुराहरू उठाइदिनु भयो हुन्थ्यो भन्ने किसिमको सोचाइमा हामी छौँ कुनै किसिमको प्रश्नहरू छन् भने राखिदिनु भयो हुन्थ्यो well, yes, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Shishir Upadhyay. I am technical advisor in Skill Group. By profession, I am an architect. When I was what I have seen is earthquake. I have seen several landslides as the professors from the university has already told. But I have seen several landslides in different places of Kathmandu. Like this, I visited a place in Kumota, where the landslide was on opposite direction. So, is there any reasons from the study, from our professors, why this thing has happened?
Professor Fukuoka, did you get the question?
Sorry, I couldn't get the meaning.
He said he had seen some landslides in the Kathmandu Valley. And he found that some landslides are in opposite direction.
Yeah, if we see, let's say, the northern part of Kathmandu Valley, I've seen the cracks on the ground towards from north to west, north to south, sorry. But I've seen, yesterday I saw in Kumota area, where the slide was on opposite direction, So maybe from the study, the waves, there were some different waves while there was an earthquake.
Okay.
Shaking, I think.
Ranjanji, can you please make it clear?
He's asking like that. In the northern part, the cracks are along the north side, north-south direction, but in southern part, cracks are along the east-west direction. You just want to know what is the reason behind it.
You mean the collapse of the landslide?
Yes. The cracks and the failure process.
But there are some strongly reported by some slope direction. So in the case of maybe there's some liquidity resource, or something else, some other idea.
Basically, a landslide moves in the direction of the slope, so it is not related with the earthquake movement. If you have earthquake force from any direction, the slope will move towards the downward slope. So the direction of cracks is not related with the direction of earthquake.
म बिल बहादुर बगायत सभासद यो पहिलो कुरा त धेरै ठुलो टेक्निकली पनि र एकाडेमिकली ठुलो टिम रहेछ। हामीले छोटो समय पायौँ तर पनि नेपालीले आज चाहिँ बुझ्न चाहेको छ कि यत्रो ठुलो विज्ञबाट नेपाल कति भूकम्पको जोखिममा छ र भूकम्पबाट आज मुलुक तबाह भएको छ। हामी सभासदहरू पनि मुलुकलाई पुनर्संरचना गर्ने भन्ने हाम्रो राजनीतिक राष्ट्रिय चाहिँ मुद्दा नै थियो। तर आज समग्रमा राजधानी सहित तबाह भइसकेपछि मुलुकको भौतिक संरचनाहरू तबाह भइसक्यो। नेपालीलाई धेरै ठुलो क्षति भइसक्यो। अब यो भौतिक हामीले मुलुकको भौतिक पुनर्संरचना, हाम्रो समाजको चाहिँ भौतिक संरचना तयार गर्नुको लागि, यो विपत्तिबाट मुक्त हुनका लागि यो टिमले हामीलाई टेक्निकल्ली नेपाललाई एउटा टेक्निकल प्याकेज दिन सक्छ कि सक्दैन, जो भरोसायुक्त हुन सक्दछ। मेरो भनाइ त्यति मात्रै। धन्यवाद।
Let's answer first. Okay. He is a CA member, Constituent Assembly member, Mr. Bir Bahadur Balaya, and his concern is he is amazed to see this team that has worked so much in this time, and he would like to ask how vulnerable Nepal is in terms of earthquake disasters, and the earthquake has devastated almost all in Kathmandu Valley. So in that sense, how we should rebuild or reconstruct Kathmandu or Nepal, and he would like to get your suggestions, comments in the field of reconstruction and rebuild. So I think Professor Mori would like to.
My question is for Mori Sensei. For Kathmandu, there were the initial intensity distribution by USGS was like 8 in some places and also some small area 9, but now we have changed it to 7.5 for the most of the. Sorry. Good morning. My name is Ramesh Dale. I am from National Society for African Youth in Nepal, and my question is for Mori Sensei. Especially your impression based on your observation on the intensity distribution, overall intensity distribution in Kathmandu. Because to our experience, we have not done the survey, but the intensity is, in most part, it's about 6 plus or 7, because most of the non-structural elements are still not damaged. But the intensity distribution by USGS at the beginning was about 7, in some places 8, and then a very small area was even 9. But now they have changed it to 7.5 and also 8. But 7.5 also seems a little bit higher to our observation. I would like to know your impression on this.
Okay, thank you very much.
जीवन कुमारी घिमिरे सभासद, अहिले हाम्रो मुलुकमा भुइँचालोले छेदछेद भइरहेको अवस्थामा जापानीजहरूले आएर रेस्क्यु गर्नुभयो र सबै मुलुकका टिमहरू रेस्क्युमा तत्परताका साथ खट्नुभयो। त्यसमा धेरै धेरै धन्यवाद दिन चाहन्छु। र आज के सम्झना भइरहेछ भने हामीलाई यति ठुलो भुइँचालोको मारमा हामी परेका थिएनौँ, सानसानो लगाइराखेकी हुन्थ्यो, तर आज मुलुकमा ठाउँ ठाउँमा जमिनै धुजा भएको छ र घरै पल्टेको छ। सबै हेर्दाखेरि हामी सभासदहरू अरूलाई हामीले कन्भिन्सहरू गर्ने हाम्रो नि मन एकदम थाकेको छ, हामीलाई नि एकदम चिन्ता भइराखेको छ। अहिले मलाई के सम्झना आइरहेको छ भने जापानमा तसमस भएर भुइँचालो आयो, त्यसपछि जापानिज जनताहरूले कसरी जीवन चलाउनु भयो, त्यहाँका बुझ्नेहरू त्यहाँको सरकारले त्यो जापानको स्थितिलाई कसरी सरल बनाउनु हो, अब हामीले कसरी यहाँबाट अगाडि बढ्न सकौँला र यहाँका संरचनाहरू हामी कसरी बनाउँला, यो कुरामा पनि अलिकति हामीले ज्ञान पाए हुन्थ्यो भन्ने लागेको छ।
धन्यवाद। धन्यवाद। एकैछिन म answer, answer the Professor Mori, would you like to answer to? Okay. Did you get the questions or CM members? First, the first question. No? Okay. You can please go.
I would like to give you an answer from the two standpoint of view. The first one is the TV image before coming here. TV image, only one TV image of overall landscape of Kathmandu city. My first impression is 5 plus or 5 minus in Japan Meteorological Agency scale. We call JMA scale, and this is equivalent to 5 to 7 or 8 in modified military intensity with everyone. So the second point is after arrival and the site investigations, my judgment of seismic intensity in the sites visited in Kathmandu Valley is 4 to 5 plus in JMA scale. This is equivalent to I'm sorry, 4 to 5 plus in JMA scale. They are equivalent to 5 to 7 in MMI. So, as I showed you, the high-rise building and no-damage low-rise building, the interview was carried out. As a result of our interview, the seismic intensity around there is 4. 4 is MMI 5. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maurice. I'd like to request Professor Adabe to respond to our CA members' questions who are talking about how vulnerable is earthquake in Nepal and how we could move with reconstruction activity.
ネパールは地震リスクは世界でもトップクラスです。今回の地震は次に来るもっと大きな地震に対してのファーストステップだと思います。ネパールのびっくりした何よりも観光資源これを早急に対策してほしいとすることが必要です。
अलिकति छोटो बनाउनु भने चाहिँ मैले के भन्नु भने नेपाल चाहिँ संसारमै सबैभन्दा बढी भूकम्पको के भन्छ रिस्क जोखिममा भूकम्पको विपदको जोखिममा भएको देश हो। त्यसैले हामी सबै यसका लागि तयार रहनुपर्छ एउटा कुरा। अर्को कुरा चाहिँ जुन पुनर्निर्माणको कुरा छ अहिले सबैभन्दा बढी के अरे नेपालको लागि सबैभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ जुन सांस्कृतिक सम्पदाहरू जुन हामीले यो पर्यटनको लागि हामीले अहिलेसम्म नेपालमा बचाएर राखिरहेका थियौँ तिनीहरूलाई सबैभन्दा बढी ध्यान दिएर र सरकारले एउटा अति नै शक्तिशाली
concluding remarks. The number of extensive reconstruction fund was very limited, presumably due to the fact that maximum acceleration and the number of cycles is not large enough. And reconstruction location at 1934 earthquake, the location in which the 1934 earthquake liquefied did not liquefy this time, indicating that the strength of the earthquake this time is not very strong. But it also indicates that maybe the existing estimated scenario earthquake motion of the 0.3 G or something like that may cause extensive earthquake, liquefaction, and we have to take care about that. Thank you very much for your time. This is for reference case. It is not very clear, but the maximum acceleration of the 120 grams for 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan recorded at Chiba Prefecture, and at the same site, the 1980s East of Chiba earthquake with almost the same maximum amplitude, but consequence is that the black box plot indicates that the same liquefaction point and the white circle indicate a non-liquefaction site. So 2011 earthquake shows an extensive earthquake, many locations. But this earthquake caused us a very limited earthquake. So this earthquake motion, in conclusion, again, it was not enough to make a solve. This line over this line is threshold value separating liquefaction occurrence of the liquefaction and non-liquefaction. So that most of the flow, this is based on the 22 data points existing boring rock. We quickly assess the severity of the intensity, shaking intensity, as well as liquefaction resistance. We plotted here. So in most of these cases, the most of the data points indicate that in this case, the most of the site is on or below the threshold line. It indicates that the shaking intensity of this earthquake is not strong enough to completely liquefy the soil. So this was the typical acceleration record time history recorded at the county at this earthquake. So the maximum acceleration is 182, and you can see that the main shaking, the significant number of the significant shaking is only 1 or 2 cycles. So it indicates that the power of the to make